Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and I can't start today's show without speaking about NeoPost and their IS-280 postage meter. So think about all the time small businesses spend to process and send mail and packages. You know, if we spend just 15 minutes a day doing it, that's more than 7 full days a year focused on mailing and shipping, and that's just crazy. I recently spoke to NeoPost, and they told me that one of the smartest things to start doing today to save time and money is to use the IS-280 postage meter to handle all our mail processing without ever leaving my office. So here's how it works. The IS-280 weighs and then automatically tells me what postage amount my mail or package needs. Not only do I pay 6% less to send first-class mail, but time's also saved by not having to run to the post office in Easton for postage. The IS-280 allows you to spend more time managing business and less time managing mail. Now here's the great part. For a limited time, our listeners can get 6 months free by using the promo code FRANCHISE. All you have to do is visit neopost280.com/franchise and enter your zip code to see if you qualify, followed by the promo code FRANCHISE to lock in 6 months free. That's neopost280.com/franchise.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with John Rocci, the CEO of Franworth. And Franworth is a leading franchise growth equity firm with years of franchise experience, accompanied by a proven track record of success. And today, John and I are going to talk about the CITYROW franchise opportunity, and that's coming right up on Franchise Interviews. Stick around because we have a great show.
The Stone Coat Franchise Opportunity. Are you looking for a unique and lucrative franchise opportunity? If so, take a look at Stone Coat. With a patented process which creates a true stone finish on almost any wall or ceiling, Stone Coat is a true game-changing product in the multi-billion-dollar construction industry. Stone Coat is applied faster, cleaner, and cheaper than conventional quarried stone, which saves both time and money. With advantages in remodel and new construction of both residential and commercial projects, Stone Coat is a true crossover product. The Stone Coat franchise opportunity provides a low startup cost, low operating expenses, comprehensive training, ongoing support, and no royalty payments. For more information on the Stone Coat franchise opportunity, go to www.stonecoatfranchise.com. That's www.stonecoatfranchise.com, or call us at 972-380-2700. That's 972-380-2700.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs to own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with John Rocci, the CEO of Franworth, and we're also meeting with Helaine Knapp, who is the founder of the CITYROW franchise opportunity. This was a great story, and I'm not sure, John, if I should start with you or if I should start with Helaine. But when I saw an interview with you, Helaine, a while back. I think it was on a New York radio station, and I thought this was like a really cool concept. Maybe we can start off talking about like the history of how this whole thing came about.
That sounds like a great place to start. So I'll give you kind of the quick overview of how we got to where we are today.
Okay.
I actually started my career in publishing. I worked for magazines for a short period of time out of college. And then I really built my career in tech startups. And that's where I fell in love with working out. I fell in love with boutique fitness, which is, this pay for a specific class model versus I'm going to have a membership and go do my own thing. I fell in love with that lifestyle. After a few years of that, I got pretty injured and then was on the hunt for a low-impact workout. And when I was searching around the industry and the market, and despite this massive growing industry of boutique fitness, there was nothing that was high intensity, low impact, and was actually going to give me results. So that kind of set me off on a journey to go find something better, something smarter. I knew there had to be a really smart way to work out, right? There's a million different ways to work out, but there was nothing that to me was perfect. And to me, perfection was a combination of something that was really fun, that had great energy, that was actually going to deliver results, and that was going to keep my body safe. Because we only have one. So I would like to keep it for as long as humanly possible. And I think a lot of people are having injuries, and particularly kind of like, I would say, kind of pounding the pavement in their 20s and 30s, and then obviously having injuries. So that's when someone said you should try rowing.
I was going to say, Helaine, it seems like a common story. Last year I read a book by Sylvester Stallone, and he said, it's very common that, a lot of people, they hurt themselves while working out. They push themselves too hard, and that's what really, was when I saw the light bulb with CITYROW. I said, as you mentioned, I like the word low impact, and it's a fun experience at the same time. And I'm sorry to cut you off. I just got a little excited there for a second, because it's a very interesting concept.
I think it's actually it's a great, and it's actually like a quick little tangent to go on, is just that I think this whole trend of fitness and working out, right? Fitness is an $81 billion industry. And 20 years ago, we were actually having a conversation of like, how great is working out? Right? I think it was like the Jane Fonda and the Richard Simmons of the time. It was like, all right, these things they're everywhere, but like, is working out really that great? Right? And then they came back and they were like, no, it's really fantastic. We have to move our bodies. And now 20 years later, 30 years later, there's a million different ways to work out, and we're starting to actually tell the story of, well, what are the best ways to work out? And that's where CITYROW will continue to win, right? We're peeling back the onion, and that's where you're going to continue to see us shine. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. What are the benefits too of rowing, Helaine? Like what makes it different from like spinning and things like that? I mean, you are, from what I understand, when I saw a previous interview with you, you're really getting a great workout. I think was it like 85% of your muscles or something like that? Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because I thought that was interesting.
Absolutely, and I can actually loop it back to the founding story as well, because when I was looking for something that was going to kind of deliver this perfect total body, high intensity workout, someone said to try rowing, right? And at first I'm going to be honest, I was pretty like, I don't know. I think of that like, ugly metal dusty machine in the corner or like a Winklevoss twin.
Yes.
But I'm not really thinking about me and my friends. But I started to dig into it a little bit. And any fitness professional, anyone who's done a little bit of research or learned about rowing, it is scientifically proven as one of the absolute best and most effective ways to work out. It works 85% of your muscles in every single stroke. And it not only torches calories, but it's low impact on your joints. So you asked about the comparison to spinning, right? Which is, very obviously one of the most popular ways to work out these days.
Right.
And it's almost predominantly legs, right? And I think what a lot of people don't realize about rowing that I get excited to share and educate them on is that rowing is actually 60% legs. So it's a predominantly leg-based workout. Then you're also getting about 20% of the work is being done in your core. And let's be honest, everyone wants a six-pack by summer, right?
Of course.
And then you're 20% arms. So it really kind of is this like unsung hero of the gym. And when I first heard this, I kind of couldn't get over it. And I was like, if there's a spin studio on every corner, there's got to be a way to bring something that's actually better for you into the market. And so that was the idea behind CITYROW. And then, I quickly realized that rowing was hard, right? This incredible piece of equipment is, you don't want to do that for an hour. I thought that sounded not only boring, but when you kind of dig into the science behind it, rowing is a power exercise, right? Those rowing races that you see, they're rarely more than 2 or 3 minutes because you're really giving it your all. And so I was like, all right, hold on a second. Let's take this incredible piece of equipment and let's pair it with total body work on the floor, right? So think personal training style movements interspersed with rowing, because I was also learning how important it was to build muscle, have a strong core, and have a really strong body for life. So we kind of paired these two perfect elements of working out to create a high-intensity interval training class. And that's really how you burn calories and see change. And that was the idea behind CITYROW.
That's terrific. And you started, so the company started in New York, Helaine. And then, so at what point, and we asked this question to all the franchisors that come on our shows, how did you know that, you were ready to start franchising the concept?
It's a great question. We opened our first location in January 2014. We opened a second in 2016. And, my vision since day one has always been, how do we help the most amount of people change their lives? And for me, that was giving them access to CITYROW. And so about 18 months ago, when we had our second location open and we were considering expansion, I started just exploring franchising. And I was learning a lot. I was digging in. I was very obviously intrigued by the strategy. And I'm going to be honest, I had a handful of conversations that I was just kind of rubbed the wrong way, wasn't sure about it. And then a friend of mine, Dhani Jones, he's a fellow entrepreneur. He totally understood my business. He's like, hold on a second. If you're even thinking about franchising, you've got to talk to my guy, John Rocci.
Right.
And at this point, I hadn't heard about John Rocci. And I was like, I don't know, Dhani. I'm a little burned out. I don't know. I've got a little bit of that taste in my mouth from a few conversations. And he's like, just listen to me. So I hop on the phone with John. I didn't do my homework ahead of time. And, I let him chime in as well here, but it was like a 2-hour conversation on a Sunday night. And what I learned during that conversation was that there was a right way to franchise and that John Rocci and his team and people do that with. And so
John knows
that
franchising.
really gave me the confidence.
Yeah, I was going to say, Helaine, John knows, I've been in franchising since 1999, and John's name is very recognizable, so it's you definitely teamed up with the right person. And what was it, John, about CITYROW, because you have this ability to spot great franchise opportunities. What was it about CITYROW that you thought, this is great?
Yeah, so, I think probably when I look at maybe myself as a person or Fran Worth, I think a lot of the pillars behind us in Franworth. It's really about mentorship.
Right.
So when Dahani told me about Helaine, it was literally just to reach out to this young entrepreneur, and really more in a kind of a servant leadership capacity, see if I could serve as a mentor to her. And in fact, that's where most of our opportunities have come. It began as mentorship. And one of the things that I always looked for in a brand, there's really three things. First and foremost is the people. And we have to believe in the people. Because it's a partnership, and I got to believe in what they stand for and so forth.
Right.
Second is the category. It's there's a lot of really strong businesses out there, but categorically, are they strong? Is it a business that will do well locally or regionally, but not necessarily nationally, let alone globally? Right. So I have to believe in the category. And third, equally as important to all of them, is the unit economics, especially if you're looking at this as a franchise model. And so that's really the three criteria for us. And when again, as Helaine said, this was really, I thought I was doing Dahani a favor just to call Helaine and just extend a helping hand. But right away, Helaine's enthusiasm grabbed me. The why behind the business was so ever present. And then as she started talking, as you just heard, it was a no-brainer for me. It made I'm big in the boutique fitness space myself, and I had this huge aha moment, this light bulb, where it said, "Of course, why hasn't anyone done this?" Right. And then we dug in a little deeper, and we looked at the unit economics of this trainer-led program, and then it was that was really kind of the final what really clinched it for our interest in it, and we're grateful that Helaine saw some of the value that we could bring to the table.
It's funny when you were saying that, because I always look for the same things, John. Is when I was listening to the interview with Helaine a couple weeks back, and I said, why hasn't anyone done this? And one thing I really have to compliment you on, Helaine, is you have such passion for this business. I've done over 500 plus interviews, doing the show 11 years now, and you could see that you truly believe in this concept and you love the concept, and so that's a compliment to you. It's nice to see that passion you have for this business. That's really a wonderful thing. How has technology played a role, or how does technology play a role in the business? And then you can go for John or Helaine, but either can answer the question.
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So actually, technology is in my DNA. I love it. I have a passion for it. And I actually built my career around SaaS software for brands, particularly as it relates to social media. So I am a huge fan of technology. I think it's got to be delicate as it plays into the workout experience, because I know a lot of people look for that time as actually getting away from life, right? And I think that we have to kind of strike this balance of maybe they don't want to see a screen, right? So we made a conscious decision that you're not going to see a screen in CITYROW. You're going to have a monitor on your actual rower, but there's not going to be a TV screen in the upper left-hand corner telling you a leaderboard. And we're trying to create a beautiful moment for you to get away from life, right? Those 50 minutes, you worked really hard to carve those out of your day and your week. And so how do we give those to you? At the same time, I believe that technology obviously creates efficiency for all. So I think when we think about kind of how we infuse technology into the growth of the CITYROW, particularly on the franchising, is how do we make it easy for the franchisees? How do we leverage technology to create seamless communication, not only from an onboarding and training perspective, but also ongoing, right? There's incredible technology out there. How can we leverage it to help our franchisees have the best experience and obviously drive the most revenue?
That's terrific. And, John, you were saying earlier, I think it was Helaine, this industry is huge, and it's amazing that the industry seems to just continue to grow, doesn't it?
The boutique fitness industry as a whole has grown over 450%, year over year for the last 6 years. So it's really a hot category.
That's incredible. What's been one of the questions I like to ask is, what's been one of the most interesting things that's happened to you since launching CITYROW, Helaine? I mean, any surprises that happened? I'm sure you have 1,000 stories you could tell me, but did anything stand out over that course of time?
Wow, that is an intense question. Every day is an adventure. I mean, I went in completely blind, right? You're talking, I was a client services and sales executive. I think one of the early on revelations for me was that I was like, oh, people work out when they're not working. So all of a sudden, when I first started CITYROW, I was like really busy every night of the week and like both weekends if I wanted to be at the studio. And that was like a little bit of a life shift.
That's
so
interesting.
That was a major revelation in the beginning. And obviously since then we've hired fantastic people and I don't need to be there all the time. But, at 6:30 and 7:30 at night during the week is when, the studios are packed. And I love meeting our clients. I love hearing their stories about how CITYROW's, changed their life or allowed them to push further in some area of their life. And so for me I still have to obviously be there during the peak times. That was probably an early on shift for me coming from the traditional corporate world.
That's terrific. So maybe we can talk a little bit about franchising. I mean, what types of characteristics or traits do you look for then in the franchisees, John or Helaine?
Yeah, so, I'll run with this one. I think, first and foremost, you have to be process kind of driven. You have to be willing to follow a system. There's that balance between our franchisees, entrepreneurs. Do you want them to be entrepreneurs or do you just want them to follow a process? And, I think there's a little bit of both. But it really leads with their ability and willingness to follow the system, yet at the same time, what makes really a robust and ever-growing franchise system is when the franchisees, they're following the process and the systems, but then they're willing to give positive, constructive kind of feedback back to the franchisor to help the brand grow. So we look for franchisees who are willing to adopt the system, and they're also engaged in the system. Brand like this, do they have to be 100% lifelong commitment to fitness? Not necessarily. Although we really do encourage, I believe in any business, you have to believe in the product. And, for a brand like CITYROW, because it's really a way of life. And for our franchisees, again, they don't need to be the world's greatest athletes, but we really will. It would be our goal for someone to really believe in fitness and understand why this fitness is good for people and it's a good way of life. Also, we want people who, they can work well in a team environment. In franchising, it's really a community, and that's what makes things so special. When I go out to visit Helaine and the CITYROWs, there is this esprit de corps amongst not only the members and the guests who are working out, but the staff, the team. And what's important when you start to franchise a company, a brand, every single person, they're either going to add to the brand or detract from the brand, right? And so we're really looking for people who fit the brand. Again, team oriented, good people, ethical, high integrity, and again, willing to just enjoy a great business.
That's interesting. How do you feel about that, Helaine? What do you look for as well? I mean, imagine to duplicate your passion. I imagine that's very important as well, isn't it?
It is. However, I think, I feel very lucky to be partnering with the Franworth team, and they've got, I would say hundreds of years combined under their belt of doing this. So I completely agree with John on the criteria that we're looking for. And while, it might be fun for a few people here and there to be excited about, running their own business in Lululemon, to John's point, as long as they understand the fundamental why behind CITYROW and behind this workout and believe that to their core, they don't need to be fitness enthusiasts. They just have to be CITYROW enthusiasts.
That's interesting. It's, and you were saying something, John, about, the importance of feedback, particularly in a time where, a franchisor is sometimes a little bit younger, that feedback is important from the franchisees, isn't it? I mean, as far as you said, in building the brand, or certainly adding to the brand, that certainly helps, doesn't it?
It's a must. I mean, really what I look at, like the way Helaine and I work together, is at the end of the day, Helaine is really focused on driving, this great experience and creating really strong unit value for the franchisees, right? Helaine knows how to run a really good business. And that's really important that she is so focused on that. And then what I bring to the table and partnering with Helaine is, how do you build also great brand value? And brand value goes beyond just the logo. Brand value is about the consistency, and that if you go into a CITYROW, whether it's in Manhattan or San Francisco or Chicago, it's a CITYROW, and there is a certain DNA that is just ever present amongst all these studios, and that's really where that's critical. Is the franchisees have to, again, as Helaine said, be CITYROW enthusiasts. And they're going to follow the process and follow the brand as to the direction that we're heading.
That's great. Who are the typical customers that you've noticed, Helaine? I mean, is it a younger audience? Of course, I always picture, of course, working people. But how do you describe, if you can, the typical customer to CITYROW?
Yeah, so I think that a typical CITYROW client, and I think obviously we cast a wide net, right? We're not so gender specific, right? Boutique fitness on the whole is about 85% female. However, because of our DNA and because rowing is so gender neutral, we capture a wide range of men. I think the CITYROW consumer is, I don't mean to say this in the wrong way, a little bit smarter, a little bit more educated. They found rowing hopefully for the right reasons. And I think when you talk about a consumer that's a customer for life, it's someone who's doing it for far beyond the kind of the shiny object, right? And on a lot of, even in the fitness world, we're chasing shiny objects. And a new something opens up in the street, you're going to try it for 3 months. But what's great about our customer is they understand the why. And they're here for more than just the great music and the instructor. They're here for how it makes their body feel both after class and then 6 months later. And so we're skewing for an audience that is probably, I would say, slightly older. We're going to have less and less teens who are doing this for the cool factor. They're going to do it. We're going to get that subsector anyway because we are cool. But we're also going to get a lot of I anticipate and I'm excited to see when we get to open our first suburban location in Ann Arbor, I think we're going to have a lot of young couples. And I think we're going to have a lot of women who are looking for something a little bit more effective, right? You've been doing spinning for a long time, not seeing a lot of results. That's who's going to get really hooked onto CITYROW. And then they're going to bring their husbands, brothers, sons, daughters, sisters, mothers. They can all do this class. What we haven't gotten into is the fact that our workout really is scalable for anyone. And part of our differentiating factor is the fact that we've built a program and a training program around that is all about pushing the individual to their own limits. And our COO, Ashley, says this a lot. It is easy to make something hard, right? I can tell you, go do 100 burpees and then come back. It is hard to make something challenging. And it's even harder to make something challenging for a wide range of fitness levels in the room. And that's what we've built. And it's a beautiful program, and we're going to be able to touch a lot of people.
That's fantastic. What is the training like then? I mean, once you decide, John, Helaine, that you do like them, they like you, and they do come aboard as a franchisee, I mean, where does the training take place? I mean, will they come to Manhattan? Is that where it's going to happen?
Yeah, actually, as Helaine you mentioned, our new suburban location that we're opening up is in Ann Arbor. It's literally, besides it's near and dear to both Helaine's and my hearts, as we're both University of Michigan alum, The studio is going to be just 2 blocks from the Franworth headquarters. And our franchisees, they'll be coming here, spending about a week here in Ann Arbor. There'll be a lot of in-studio time, actually getting to experience, participate in the daily operations of how a CITYROW studio runs, as well as kind of the back office, the finance, the human resources, all the other nuts and bolts of just genuine small business ownership that also takes place right here at the headquarters of Franworth.
That's terrific. Both of you are certainly considered entrepreneurs, and one of the questions we like to ask, someone like yourselves when we have someone on the podcast is, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise? Helaine, I saw you were making a presentation to, I think it was high school students, which I thought was fantastic, by the way. I think it was high school students on YouTube. I just thought that was so great that you did that. But, what advice do you typically give to someone in their quest to specifically buy a franchise, or what advice would you give, based on everything you've learned up to this point? Because there is a lot out there, isn't there?
There is. Helaine, if you're good, I'll kind of run with this one. It's not much different from what I look for in a brand, and as to partner with, when you ask why CITYROW, why Helaine, I would tell a young kind of entrepreneur, someone who's looking, to own a business, probably, those 3 questions. There may be a couple more, but they are going to have to, and they're exploring what's that right business for them. They have to understand the why of the business. Why does the business do what they do, right? And because yes, businesses need to make money, right? That's a given. Right. But if you're looking to go buy a business, how are you going to feel if you have a down week, a down month, maybe on the financial side? Is that going to be so debilitating that you're questioning why you're even in the business? Or was there something else that drove you to the business that gets you, because the why is so strong, that's getting you past the ebb and flows of small business ownership?
Sure.
So I think you have to believe in the why of the business. Again, now you have to believe in the people. Who's driving it? Have they demonstrated they can do it, and they have done it? Believe in the category. And then, again, it has to be a business that is going to meet what they're looking for in terms of kind of lifestyle as well as kind of economic rewards. Right.
That's terrific. So where do you see CITYROW, John and Helaine? If you can look into a crystal ball, maybe, 3 to 5 years down the road, where do you see the organization?
I think we both have pretty high expectations. John?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for us, it's, the category is so strong. One of the things that we've demonstrated, we know how to scale businesses, and we know how to do it the right way. One of our, we have another boutique fitness brand, Title, that grew to be the fastest growing franchise in the world. And 2 other brands we started also became the fastest growing franchises. And I will say with CITYROW, the total business opportunity, the category, and make no mistake about it, CITYROW is without a doubt the pioneer of this category, the boutique fitness with respect to rowing. Helaine is in a first mover position, and we know what the picture on the top of the puzzle box looks like. We know how to scale it, but most importantly, we know how to scale it the right way, right? So, we have every intention for when people talk about rowing, they want to do that. That's going to be CITYROW. That's going to be the top of mind brand.
That's terrific. What's the best way, John and Helaine, for our listeners to get more information on CITYROW as a franchise opportunity and even the service itself? Are there any websites that you'd like them to go to or check out?
Yeah, I think, easiest way is probably just to head over to cityrow.com. You'll see an overview of our offering and everything there. And then just info@cityrow.com. We can direct anyone to answer any questions they might have or point them in the right direction of someone to talk about opportunities.
That's fantastic. Well, I've enjoyed talking to both of you, Helaine and John. It's been a privilege to have you on the show, and I'd already like to invite you back as you continue to grow, because I think CITYROW has a great franchise opportunity.
We think so, too. Thanks so much, Marty.
You're welcome,
thank you.
Helaine. You're welcome, John. Take care, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822. Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Today's Great Quote in Franchising is being brought to you by
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com. Or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time, we've had some incredible quotes on our show. Today, you're going to get to hear from Nick Friedman, who is the founder of College Hunks Hauling and Junk and Moving Franchise Opportunity. And Nick said something really quite brilliant on our show that we haven't heard in over a decade of doing franchise interviews. We started speaking about the 4 F's of franchising, and interesting enough, we ended up with 5 F's of franchising as we were doing the interview with Nick. And, you know, in marketing, we talk about the 4 P's of marketing, which is product, price, promotion, and place. So I thought this was really brilliant what Nick said. So here we go with Nick Friedman, the founder of College Hunks Hauling and Junk Moving Franchise Opportunity.
History.
What, you know, the majority of our listeners, we call them, Nick, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. What types of characteristics do you look for in your franchisees?
You know, what I like to say is there's 4 F's when considering a franchise, which is also, I guess, starts with a letter F. So, you know, there's 4 F's that come out of franchise. And I think this is what a prospective franchise should think of when they're considering what franchise they want to pursue. And this is, quite frankly, I think what franchisors should consider when they're evaluating a prospective franchisee. So the first F is fit. You know, do they fit? In other words, do they have transferable skills that can make them effective at this business? Have they done anything in their prior professional or personal lives that would make them be successful in this type of business? The second piece is the family side. In other words, does their family support them in them pursuing this endeavor, whether it's their husband or wife or kids or parents? You know, do they believe in them? Because you don't want things to get tough in their inner circle to say, I told you so. You want them to, you know, kind of cheer them on to get through it. The financial piece is important. In other words, are they capitalized to be able to invest in the opportunity, and do they have realistic financial expectations? And then the last F is the fun factor. You know, can we have fun working with this individual? You know, franchising is very much like a partnership, even though that's not typically called that. So you got to have, you know, an alignment of vision and values to be able to enjoy working together. So that's really what we look for. You know, we want people that believe in the secret sauce that we've already developed. We don't want somebody to come tell us that they think it should be done differently. We want them to tell us that they believe in what we've created. And sure, we would, you know, want to continuously improve and encourage ideas, but not, you know, we want folks that believe in the system and are going to execute the system rather than trying to shortcut success by doing it, you know, doing it their own way. And I think that's, you know, really no different in our system than any other franchise model that is going to be successful long term. They need to really take into account those factors.
That's great, Nick. We have this great quotes in franchising podcast. Anytime we hear, you know, Michael Gerber's been in there a couple of times, but we're going to put that one in there because I haven't heard that in over a decade, and I think that's great advice to our listeners. It's really fantastic because it's true. I mean, you could really, your business, you could teach to anybody, couldn't you? I mean, pretty much, you know. But you know, it's interesting in putting those factors in there, you know, like family support, you know, and even fun. I haven't heard that, you know, but it should be an enjoyable business, and you know, because it is a stressful situation for the customers, I guess you got to be able to put a smile on your customer's face, don't you?
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, as you know, there's over 3,000 franchise opportunities out there. So, you know, what's going to separate one from the other? It's got to be something that you can enjoy. And I guess I'll grab another F out of there. I'm on a roll here. Fulfillment. You know, is it something that you know, we're going to be fulfilled doing day in and day out? Because I think franchising is a lot like a gym membership. You know, if you join the gym, you've got fitness goals. You're getting access to all types of equipment, personal trainers, coaches, workout groups, but you still got to go and show up and do the work. So if you buy a franchise, you're getting access to the business model in a box. You're getting access to trainers, coaches, you know, fellow franchisees that you can, you know, hold each other accountable with, but you still got to show up and put in the effort to execute that business model. So that's where I think those factors come into play.
Once you decide that, you know, you do like them, you know, and they like you, Nick, you know, and there is a fit, you know, what is the training like? I mean, do they typically come to Florida for training? How does that work? If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Nick Friedman of the College Hunks Hauling and Junk Moving Franchise Opportunity, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com, go to our Franchise Interviews by Category page, and then go to our Home Repair and Improvements page, and you'll be able to listen to that whole show with Nick Friedman. It was really a fantastic interview. It was great to finally have Nick on the show. And lastly, we'd just like to thank everyone for making this podcast such a big hit. It's hard to imagine we've been doing it now over 10 years, and it's just amazing to see where the podcast has gone. So thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, sponsored by Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.